Hey everybody, Nick here, and this morning we got some disassembly and maintenance to do on this little guy right here. This is the SharpByDesign Brian Nadeau Void. First off, centering is dead on, action is pretty great, so this is probably not necessary, but I'm going to do it anyways because I'm insane. Let's go ahead and take this guy apart. From the looks of it, there are just the two screws that we need to worry about, the pivot and then the clip here. They both, from the looks of it, are T8. Yeah, pop that loose. Beautiful. And remove the clip, maybe. You know what? If you don't want to go anywhere, shine on, you crazy diamond. For what it's worth, we don't need to remove that screw, and in fact, you never should remove that screw. That's holding in the lock bar insert, and really only suffering can come from removing lock bar inserts. Really? Okay, so that's using a little bit of thread locker here. It's weird, the backside wasn't, but this one seems to be. So let's go on ahead and get in here and get a little bit more torque going on, just so I can do this with a little bit more in the way of control. There we go. It's popped loose. Now I should be able to get in there. Beautiful. Easy peasy. Yeah, they're definitely using a little thread locker in there. We can see that all on there. All right, let's lift off the back scale here, and we should be able to get access to everything we need. Very tight tolerances here. There we go. Beautiful. So what we see here is a couple of things that are worth noting. We can see that there is... holes are weird. Oh, that might be glue from the application of the carbon fiber there. What we can see here is an extra pin in the back here. We see the Brian Nadeau milled detent going on right here. So that's a beautiful thing. We see a steel insert for the ball bearing race, which, you know, is one of those things that definitely doesn't hurt. And then we see some ceramic bearings. Where is the other bearing? Oh, here. Okay, good. We see a pivot that can pop loose and is prevented from spinning freely by virtue of, look at this, little tiny square in there, little tiny square at the base of the pivot there. That's how this isn't free spinning. That's neat. Okay. And we can just go on ahead and clean this guy out. If you're ever curious about any of the tools I'm using to do this disassembly or any other, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools, and you will see a full sort of description of everything I've got going on here. Might be interesting, might not be. I don't know. Either way, it's there. Enjoy. Popping this little guy, cleaning out the pivot here, cleaning out the stop pin track a little bit. We should be good to go now. Oh, I'll clean off the detent ball path as I'm at it. Well, detent nub path, and you can see right here, this is the nub that the detent slides in, or the little hole that nub slides into. And that's why this has a very characteristic detent. Anything that Brian Nadeau does, well, at the very least, well, I think at this point, anything he does is using that kind of a detent nub sort of situation, and it really is different. You know, very often it doesn't particularly matter exactly, you know, for instance, you know, ceramic versus stainless detent balls, etc. But if you're doing the detent ball scene, it doesn't actually particularly matter which, you know, how it's drilled, what it's shaped like. It's, I mean, usually it's a ball. And so you don't get all that much variance. You might get variance in detent strength and things like that, but you're not getting variance in sort of the essential nature of that detent. That's kind of weird. Look at this. Oh, they must have blasted it with the frame on such that a little bit of the blasting media came through and ghosted on the back side there. And actually, you can see that the screw was removed. That's kind of neat, right? You can see that the screw for the lock bar insert was removed when they blasted the outside. All right. Cool. Does it matter? No. Kind of neat, though, right? Go ahead and clean off the bearing here. This was running on a thicker grease of some variety, and I suspect that we're going to get a slightly nicer action out of this by running it on a lighter oil. In this case, I'm going to use some 10-weight nano oil, just because that tends to be the smoothest approach with bearings, but you could, of course, use something like knife pivot lube, or even Daiwa real oil, or I'm sure there are lots of other choices, but for the moment, I think that'll do. Cleaning these washers off here, Just again. And what you're going to see is when you take yours apart, you'll see there's one side that's got some wear from the ball bearings, and you want to keep that side facing the bearings, right? The other side should wear in just as easily if you put it back together that way, but still, there you go. All right, and then finally I'll clean off the pivot and the, is that a stop pin? Yeah, I guess that is the stop pin. No, that's not the stop pin. What is that? Oh, that's the locating post. That just needed, that fell out at some point. So I'll drop that back into here. And I can tell that it goes in this hole, of course, because this one is hollow and is where the pocket clip screw goes, which also is the screw holding the damn thing together. And so we clean this. Now, let's go ahead and pop this back together. That doesn't need to be oriented specifically, so I'll do that. But I am making absolutely sure that I have that square fully seated. Otherwise, I'm going to tighten this guy down without that square fully seated, and as a result, I will end up with... I might end up with some play after it fully seats. So there you go. I'm going to take some nano oil here, drip a little bit onto here. Come on. And right there. Beautiful. And then I'm going to put a little bit onto the pivot itself and kind of distribute it around with the applicator tip there. Beautiful. Now I'm going to drop on a ball bearing. And, I'm sorry, a bearing. I mean, more than one ball bearing. A bearing assembly. I don't freaking know what to call it. And I'm just rotating this guy. I'm not actually applying any new lubrication to it. I'm just rotating it a little bit such that it will, distribute the lubrication well throughout it. Let's go ahead. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and transfer the stop pin over to this side. And I'm going to go ahead and transfer this locating pin over to this side. That's locating pin is probably not the right term there. It's I'm sure if somebody who actually knows anything tunes in, they might be able to help me out with the right term for that. But at the very least, it's a pin that helps to, add additional stiffness, given that there's just one screw there. So I'll go ahead and drop that onto place there. And again, I'm just going to rotate, rotate, rotate. Sung, of course, to the tune of Daddy Yankee's seminal hit. No, was it Daddy Yankee? I forget. Yeah, I think it was Daddy Yankee's Rompe, which was quite a catchy song. Rather short. Lyrics were pretty straightforward, but still catchy. All right, that's completely neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and drop everything back into position here. Let's make sure there's nothing on the back here. Clean this surface off a little bit. Because that could, if that doesn't fit super flush, could be a problem. Yeah, drop that in there. And then drop this down to here. And I want to make sure everything, oh, there. So my, that washer disgorged itself. That's fine. Just drop it back into position here. So the downside, the big problem with assembling a frame lock is that you need to make sure everything is sort of in position, and everything can't be fully in position with the blade open because the lock bar, there is an inherent tension here in the lock bar. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is just set my hand on this guy. I'm going to apply a little bit of Loctite, just the Loctite on a stick here, Bluetooth 242 or whatever, and we'll go ahead and do that. Put a little bit of thread locker onto there. Beautiful. Drop this into position. Absolutely freaking gorgeous. All right. Now that's not going anywhere. I haven't fully tightened it down yet, but I don't need to yet. And then I'll put a little bit of thread lock onto this guy as well. Weird that they didn't have any from the factory, but maybe they didn't feel it needed. All right. So, where we at? Oh, that's smoother. No blade play at all. Super duper smooth action. You know what I completely forgot to do? I completely forgot to oil the detent ball hole because there is none. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this little needle applicator here to apply a little bit of lubrication directly to that detent nubbin right there. That should do what I need here. My goal there is twofold: A, to allow for easier disengagement, and B, to allow the blade, the blade to, oh, yeah, that's smoother. When it's gliding along the blade there, let that detent knob have a little bit of lubrication on that path. Probably could have done, actually, no, I couldn't have done the same thing. And by the way, it's worth noting that the lock bar insert serves as an over-travel stop here. But there we go. Now, finally, my last step here is just to make sure that the pivot is at the right tension. And the way that I'm going to determine that is just by loosening it a little bit and seeing, oh, wow. Yeah, when I loosened that up a little bit, the action got a lot smoother, which makes sense, right? If it's over tight, it can be a little, and there's zero blade play. Oh, oh, yeah. That's what I needed right there. That's the way to start your day, right? I honestly, that's so damn good that I'm not going to tweak it. Oh boy, I am perfectly good with that action. That is absolutely stellar. And indeed, going ahead and cleaning that guy out did actually have a positive impact on the functioning and just the smooth it through to the knife in general. So there you go. We have at the very least, we have reduced the number of wiggles here. We are now to maybe 0.7 wiggles versus the original, I'd say 1.5. That's a joke, by the way. Brian kept getting comments about how many wiggles does it take to shut the damn thing. And it was driving his blood pressure up. And because, I appreciate Brian, I figure anything I can do to, move him slowly towards an aneurysm is probably well, actually, wait, that sounds problematic. Anyways, there you go. So the Void is now reassembled and running freaking amazing. Well done, Brian. Well done, Rayot. And time to throw it in my pocket and give it a shot for review. So there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.